When we learn to draw the human figure, we often start with very basic shapes and forms first in order to construct it. This makes the process very simple, but it also means our sketches often lack a lot of the more subtle shapes and forms within the body. Well, an app that's going to help us develop more sophistication in our drawings is 3D Anatomy for the Artist. This app contains a series of 3D models for each area of the body that we can use for far more detailed and realistic figure drawing. Upon launching the app, you're greeted with an option for a series of 3D models that takes a deep dive into human anatomy. This is not the typical muscle and bone type of model that you'll usually see. It also showcases more nuanced areas such as veins, respiratory, and digestive structures. The beauty of this app is that it allows us to isolate specific pieces of anatomy in order to get a better understanding of its shape, structure, and its relationships. And it allows us to do that in a couple of different ways. The isolate icon will leave only the selected area visible. The multi-select icon will allow for several areas to be left visible. And the advanced visibility options will allow you to turn on and off specific anatomical groupings. There's also a useful muscle layer option which helps us to understand the order in which our muscles stack on top of each other. Well, what if you don't want to lose all that important anatomical information? Well, the transparency option will allow you to highlight the selected area that you want while simply reducing the opacity of its surrounding structures. In terms of positioning, the model's controls are pretty straightforward, but it also has useful options for specific placement. So if, for instance, you're looking for the model to be in a lateral or a medial view, the app can align the model precisely to that position without you having to fiddle around with the controls. For those wanting more advanced study, the pins function takes us into a much deeper anatomical dive. Here you'll get accurate names of specific areas of bone and muscle. We've also got this information box up top, which gives us further understanding of the anatomical positioning and function of the selected area. This level of knowledge is not really all that necessary for us artists, but it's an option there for those who wish to learn a bit more. For those who may already know their bones and muscles quite well, there's a useful search option that will take you directly to the specific anatomical area that you're looking for. On top of there being 3D models, there's also a series of picture galleries to browse through. One is simply a more realistic rendering of the 3D anatomy. The others are useful drawing references and figure pose references. There's not a huge range of images in this library, but it's still a useful little library if that's all you have on hand. So, are there any drawbacks? Well, functionally the app works as designed, so there are no technical issues. There are a few options, however, that have been overlooked. The first is articulation. Whilst the model can be repositioned, the body parts themselves cannot be moved. This means an area like the forearm, where the muscles move depending on where the wrist is rotated, is in a fixed position. The other thing that's been overlooked is simply different color options for the muscles to help beginners out a bit more. The singular muscle color in the model sometimes makes it a bit difficult to know where some muscles end and others begin. Not a huge issue, but perhaps one that can be considered for a future update. The other thing that's also missing is the ability to export the images or to save the models in a particular position. But other than those minor issues, overall 3D Anatomy for the Artist is a great advanced tool for those of us who are looking to take our figure drawing to the next level. It's filled with plenty of model options to draw from, a bunch of useful reference images to browse through, and is a great addition to any artist app collection.